On today's show, we visit Ellisville Marsh and talk about upcoming things to do in our South Shore towns. You can get the bad news in lots of places. On the local scene, it's all about what's good and good to know. I'm Elizabeth. Let's get started. One of Scotland's most popular folk bands, North Sea Gas, is coming to Pembroke. Join David Gilfillan, Grant Simpson, and Ronnie McDonald at the Pembroke Public Library on April 27th from 7 to 8 p.m. Their beautiful three-part harmonies and good humor are augmented by banjo playing, guitars, mandolin, fiddle, bouzouki, harmonica, and whistles, all to create a fun night of Scottish folk music that will have you dreaming of the Highlands. This concert is free and open to all. Ellisville Marsh in South Plymouth is recognized as one of the most ecologically valuable and sensitive coastlines in our state. This saltwater marsh and estuary are home to a wide range of wildlife and habitats maintained for hundreds of years by farming and fishing communities. Storm damage, erosion, and channel blockage since the 1980s has deteriorated this precious landscape, and we went on the local scene to talk with Eric Cody, author of Rescuing Ellisville Marsh, The Long Fight to Restore Lost Connections.
Close your eyes. Imagine that you're in a place about the size of Plymouth Center that has 240 species of birds, 150 species of plants. And if you're lucky, you can look offshore occasionally and see gray seals and harbor seals lounging on the rocks at low tide. And imagine that the first people came to this place 13,000 years ago, not only before the Pilgrims, but 8,000 years before the pyramids were built in Egypt, and that successive generations farmed and fished and gathered here. And imagine that this place is connected to the sea by a narrow stream through which 200 million gallons of water flow every day. So it's not hard to imagine that this place will be recognized as special, uniquely valuable natural resource. We're standing at Ellisville Marsh, a 70-acre salt marsh. It's really the only salt marsh resource in the town of Plymouth between the Cape Cod Canal and Duxbury. And it's a very special place. There are 250 species of birds that have been found here, 150 plant species, and its history goes back 13,000 years, believe it or not. Salt marshes in general are some of the most prized natural resources on Earth. I think most people are unaware that a salt marsh actually is 10 times more efficient than a tropical forest in removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. It's also 3 times more efficient in storing carbon dioxide in the biomass, the soils, than a tropical rainforest. So we've got something here that is a weapon against global warming to begin with. It's also a buffer against sea level rise. But even if we weren't experiencing these existential threats from climate change, this place is an incubator for a huge range of marine and terrestrial species. And if you look in the distance across the marsh out there, you'll see the tidal inlet that connects Ellisville Marsh with Cape Cod Bay. That's a very important feature. 200 million gallons of water a day flow through that narrow inlet at a rate of 2,000 gallons per second. It's very important to keep that inlet open for the ecosystem in the marsh to stay healthy. One of our neighbors became involved in 2002 and 2003 because the tidal inlet had been blocked and migrated southward 1,500 feet to the point where it had been eroding the coastal bank under his house. If he hadn't addressed it, his house could have potentially fallen over the 40-foot bank onto the beach within a decade. So he got a one-time emergency permit and reopened it in 2003. Unfortunately, there was further work a couple of years later, and the Mass DEP brought an enforcement action against my neighbor. Out of that enforcement, there was a consent order at the end of the whole process, which required that a nonprofit which we call the Friends of Ellisville Marsh, be formed to take on the responsibility and the burden of acquiring all the necessary permits to maintain the tidal inlet and doing the work. The purpose was, at least for the first year or two, was partly to save houses on the coastal bank. That problem was quickly addressed and the mission shifted to fisheries and wildlife, so that for the past 13 years at least, the organization has been focused on the health of this system that you see behind me. And we hope that viewers will consider joining us. We're always looking for new members and volunteers. About 10 years ago now, I was doing a talk on the project, revitalization project, and the Friends at the Pine Hills. As we were discussing the regulatory challenges that we faced, which were excruciating at the time, there was a gentleman in the crowd who said, "Boy, this is fascinating, you should write a book about this." And I just kind of put the idea in my back pocket. And then COVID came along in 2020, and some of us were twiddling our thumbs, wondering what we would do with our new spare time. And I wrote a sample chapter and an outline, and said, the chapter was on piping plovers, which is my first love among all the work we do here. I explored shopping it around to some publishers, and lo and behold, that year I got an advance contract from University of Massachusetts Press. They have an imprint called Brightleaf that's not scholarly, but it's intended to raise awareness and inspire others in areas like the environment. So I got this advance contract, and when that happens, if you're like me and never experienced this, you take it seriously. And over the next 6 months or so, I wrote the rest of the book, the manuscript. At the end of 2021, they made the final approval to publish it. If I was writing a chapter, say, on invasive plants, I found myself walking around forming ideas in my head. I would sort of write a mental paragraph, and then I'd stop somewhere and write it on a piece of paper in my pocket. It was fairly straightforward just because the experience was so vivid. If anyone who reads the book comes away inspired or compelled to do something, no matter how modest, then it will have succeeded. And I hope also that it'll maybe be a stake in the ground about maybe some regulatory reforms in environmental agencies in Massachusetts and federally. Natural resources define Plymouth. If we want to protect and enhance Plymouth, we need to protect and enhance our natural resources. We have 450 ponds and 36 miles of coastline. Water is a key issue here. And sometimes people including town leaders, are pretty complacent about this. So I'm hoping that it'll raise awareness of what needs to be done. The only other experience I've had like this goes back to 7th grade. I had a great teacher who took the whole class out after lunch during a study period one day. He took us out behind the school, into the woods, told us to stop, be quiet, and close our eyes. He said, listen and smell the air and don't say anything for the next 5 minutes. And I will never forget that exercise in mindfulness that he led us on all those years ago. And this is that kind of thing on steroids. We have so much to look at and look for that it's an unrivaled experience.
You can learn more about Ellisville Marsh at ellisvillemarsh.org and about Eric's book through umasspress.com. Author Allison O'Leary is an experienced hiker and outdoorswoman, author and Massachusetts native. Co-author of The Best Day Hikes Near Boston, Allison will present Micro Adventures in Massachusetts, a tour of day trip and hiking options in our beautiful state. Allison will use images and maps to excite you and your family to get out, explore, and make forever memories. This event begins at 6 p.m. Register via the Kingston Public Library website. Escape rooms combine live action storytelling, social interaction, and challenging immersive adventures. No wonder they're so popular. If your family or a group of friends are up for a fun escape, you'll love the Duxbury Free Library's Captain is Dead escape room event on April 22nd at 2 p.m. Invading aliens are taking over your ship. You'll work together to repair it and escape before they do. Will you make it in time? Sign up via the library's website and find out. Children grades 4 and under must be accompanied by a responsible adult. The Town of Plymouth's No Place for Hate Committee welcomes you to attend the 4th annual Standing on the Side of Love Coffee House, to be held on Saturday, May 6th at the Church of the Pilgrimages, Allerton Hall, in Town Square. Local musicians and spoken word artists, including Fred Meltzer, Jeff Rosen, Eileen Springer, and Karen Woodhall, will be part of the family-friendly entertainment for this free 7 to 11 p.m. event. Assorted munchies and non-alcoholic beverages will be served, and raffles featuring items from local merchants and restaurants will be drawn throughout the night. All proceeds will support No Place for Hate's Outstanding Citizenship Award, presented to local high school students who have made contributions to our community in keeping with the committee's mission. For more info, visit Plymouth No Place for Hate on Facebook or their website, PlymouthNoPlaceForHate.org. While American Sign Language is the primary language used by those with hearing loss, learning ASL at a young age helps children exercise the visual spatial part of their brain and become better readers. On April 27th at 10:30 a.m., children aged 3 to 5 and their caregivers are invited to the Pembroke Public Library's Story Time with Miss Melissa and a special guest who was born deaf and uses ASL to communicate. Kids will learn some simple American Sign Language words and enjoy a reading of Hands and Hearts by Donna Jo Napoli. After story time comes craft time, when your littles can create their own jar of art with sand. Registration is required. Visit the library's website or call 781-293-6771. Keep Kingston Clean is making it easy to make a local difference on Earth Day with a town-wide cleanup. On Saturday, April 22nd, pick up bags and gloves at Kingston Elementary School between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. and begin cleaning up your corner of the world. Once you're done, you can arrange for pickup of any bags of trash you've collected. For more details on how to participate and help keep Kingston clean, visit the Keep Kingston Clean Facebook page. In the town of Duxbury in years past, there was a mischievous and fun tradition of surprising your neighbors with a basket of flowers on May 1st to welcome spring. On Saturday, April 29th, the Duxbury Rural and Historical Society invites you to the Nathaniel Windsor Jr. House to revive this tradition. Workshops and instruction will begin at 11 a.m. and 1 p.m., and drop-ins are welcome. All the materials will be provided, and the event is free and open to the public. For more details, visit duxbury.org. Downtown Plymouth's panoply of shops, museums, galleries, and restaurants offer a surfeit of innovative cuisine, items, perspectives, and performances. But finding time to experience it all can be hard, even if you're a local. First Fridays in Plymouth is back to help. On the first Friday of each month, these spaces open their doors to the public for an evening of art, inspiration, and culture as you stroll the downtown streets. Meet and talk with artists in their element, check out the shops and exhibits, and dine at one of the many restaurants in the area. Feed your belly and spirit. Check out the First Fridays Plymouth Facebook page for more information. Inspired by the book Underestimated by Jamie and J.B. Hanley, the new full-length documentary Spellers challenges conventional wisdom regarding non-speakers with autism, often perceived as cognitively disabled. As the film opening asks, what if we've been wrong? Through the heart-wrenching stories of 8 non-speakers, Aiden, Evan, Sid, Maddie, Jamie, Vince, Cade, and Elizabeth, who have learned to use a letterboard to communicate thoughts, needs, and emotions, Spellers wakes us up to the reality of potential in more than 50 million people worldwide. Neil and Lori Rogers are the proud parents of Craig, a 32-year-old man with autism. They are excited to offer a private screening of Spellers at Plymouth Cinema on April 30th at 3 p.m., which will also feature a panel discussion. Tickets to this powerful film are only $15 per person, with a portion of the proceeds supporting Plymouth-Patuxent Museum's educational mission. Visit kinema.com to get yours. For National Poetry Month, America's Hometown Laureates is celebrating with a free poetry open mic on April 24th at Plymouth North High School's Performing Arts Center. Share your unique voice and original poetry at this event beginning at 7 p.m. Each performance slot is 5 minutes long. Get yours and email hometownlaureates@gmail.com. The local scene will see you there. And that's what's good and good to know on the local scene this week. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. We are grateful for your attention. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe to the local scene here and share everywhere. Thank you, friends.